Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into a really powerful database concept that can make your code faster, way more secure, and a whole lot easier to maintain. Yep, we're talking about SQL Stored Procedures. We're going to break down exactly what they are, why you should care, and how to put them to work.
So let's just start with a quick question. Have you ever been working on an app and found yourself just copying and pasting the same SQL queries over and over again? Or maybe you're worried about performance hits, or even worse, potential security holes when you're accessing your data directly. If any of that sounds familiar, you are definitely not alone. These are super common problems.
Well, the good news is there is a much cleaner, much more elegant solution. Stored procedures are pretty much designed to fix these exact problems, acting as this amazing tool to bring some much needed order and efficiency to your database. Okay, so let's get right into it. First things first, what is a stored procedure exactly? The easiest way to think about it is like a reusable script, a block of code that actually lives inside your database, just waiting to be called whenever you need it. All right, let's look at the official definition for a sec. Now, there are two phrases here that are absolutely key: precompiled and single unit. Precompiled means the database has already figured out the best way to run this code, so it's way faster. And single unit means a whole bunch of complex steps can be kicked off with just one simple command. And we're going to see just how powerful that is in a minute. So that brings us to the big why. Why should you use these? It's not just about keeping your code tidy. There are three core benefits that really make stored procedures a total game changer for building better, more solid applications. And here they are, the big three: performance, reusability, and security. We're going to walk through each one so you can see exactly what I mean. Let's kick things off with performance. Remember that word precompiled? Well, this is where it really pays off. See, with a normal, everyday query, your database has to figure out the best way to run it every single time. But with a stored procedure, all that hard work is already done and saved. This cuts down on server load and even network traffic, making your operations run a whole lot faster. And this slide just nails the second benefit: reusability. I mean, look at the left side. That's the messy way, right? The same logic for creating an order is scattered all over the place, in your web app, your mobile app, everywhere. But on the right, all of that mess is replaced by one clean call to a single procedure. So what does that mean? It means if you ever need to change that logic, you only have to do it in one place. That is a massive win for maintenance. And last but not least, security. And this one is huge. Instead of giving your application direct carte blanche access to your tables, which is pretty risky, you just give it permission to run a specific procedure. The procedure basically acts as a secure middleman. This means the app can only do the exact things you've allowed it to, which helps prevent nasty stuff like SQL injection and just adds a really important layer of protection. Okay, enough theory. Let's see how this stuff actually works in the real world. We're going to take a look at a super common example: creating an order. And we're going to break down a procedure called create order. Now, before we even touch any code, let's just trace the logic here. This single procedure is going to handle the entire process. It takes in the customer, product, and quantity. It makes sure they're valid. It creates the order. It updates the inventory. And then it reports back on whether it worked or not, all in one go. All right, let's look at the code piece by piece. We start with create procedure, create order. You can think of this just like defining a function in any other programming language. These things here with the @ sign, at customer ID, at product ID, and at quantity. Those are our parameters. They're the inputs this procedure needs to do its job. Then, as begin is where the action starts. First up, validation. This if exists check is like a bodyguard for our data. Before it even tries to create an order, it does a quick check to make sure the customer ID and the product ID we gave it are actually real. This is so important for preventing bad data and keeping our database clean.
So, once our bodyguard gives the okay, we get to the main event. This is the insert statement that creates the new record in our orders table, and it uses those parameters that were passed in at the very beginning. But wait, it's not done yet, and this is part of the magic. Right after creating the order, it immediately runs an update on the products table to subtract what was just purchased from our inventory. Bundling these two actions together guarantees our data stays consistent. You can't have one happen without the other. And finally, we just wrap things up. The procedure gives us a little feedback with a print statement, letting us know if everything went well or if that initial validation failed. The final end just closes out the procedure's logic. All neat and tidy.
So we just built all of that. The validation, the insert, the update, the whole shebang. Now for the payoff. You're about to see just how ridiculously simple it is to use everything we just wrote. This is it. Seriously, this one line of code using the exec command is all your application needs to send. You just give it the procedure's name and fill in the values.
And that one single command triggers everything. The validation, the insert into the orders table, the update to the product inventory, and the final success message. All of that complexity, all of that security and logic is all bundled into one clean, reusable call. You know, I absolutely love this analogy. It just perfectly captures what a stored procedure does. It isn't just a script, it's a conductor, making sure all the different pieces of your database operation are working together in perfect harmony. So, if you're going to remember just one thing from all this, let it be this. Using stored procedures makes your database code faster, safer, and a whole lot easier to maintain in the long run. And that leaves us with a final thought to take with you. Think about your own projects, the code you're working on right now. Where do you have those repetitive, complex, or sensitive database tasks? Which part of your application is just waiting for its conductor?